the like heart hug that is feeling these big emotions with total strangers. It's life affirming, and there's a reason why we all are fighting so hard to keep it alive.
Hi.
I want to take you on a real date tomorrow night.
I'm working.
The next night then. Final offer.
You can buy my breakfast. That's kind of like a date.
Yeah, Alejandro Alcantara from Spoiler. Thank you guys so much for your time, and thank you so much for this movie. I gotta say, I loved it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I think one of the reasons why we love the romantic comedy as a genre is because of this innate ability it has to tell stories about love with a sense of escapism and aspiration. But why do you think it's also possible to tell more grounded stories like this one that are also capable of keeping the genre's core essence and values?
Because falling in love is the craziest thing in the entire world. Because it is inherently just fascinating and entertaining. And as filmmakers and as storytellers, we try our best to match how insane it is and feels to fall in love, but it's kind of impossible because it is what it is. It's at all of our, we're all wired to want to find someone to connect with. That's, as animals, like that's it. So that's why I always feel like it's such a funny thing that rom-coms have this like kind of negative connotation to it. Like when it's like, wow, it's a rom-com and it's not glossy and it's deep and it's heartfelt. I'm like, but isn't life a romantic comedy? Isn't it just a series of like trying to connect and fall in love, and it's insane, so you try to make it funny and laugh about it? And that's, I mean, I think it's, yeah, that's my feeling.
I'd agree. And also, every time I've fallen in love, it's been completely different than the last time. And the dynamic has been different and the vibes around it have been different. So I think, there's always room for a new interpretation of what falling in love feels like and looks like. So, yeah. And I felt like there was, that there hadn't been a movie in a while that looked at the genre in a more grounded and mature and hopefully sophisticated way. So that was, yeah, I think there's always room for people to try and tell love stories in many, many different ways.
Right. Well, I think you mentioned something there. I think one of the main qualities about the genre in general is this collective experience it offers. Can you recall a particular movie that when you watched it made you realize just how important it is to see a film in the movie theater?
Well, yeah, and speaking of love, I can definitely tell you. So right around the time I was falling in love for the very first time with the girl, I was 16 years old, and I wasn't sure how she felt about me, and we went and saw Meet Joe Black in the movie theater. And that movie is all about love and what is love and people verbalizing what they feel love means. And that movie had such a profound effect on me watching it in that context. And it's a long movie, and I think she was bored. So halfway through, she put her head on my shoulder. And so just receiving what that movie was saying about love while the person that I was falling in love with leaned her head on my shoulder, I think was, seismic, the effect that night had on me. And that was because we went to that movie.
That's beautiful. Zoe, how about you?
Any recently, or you're just saying in general, a film that made me?
In general, it could be in general, or something you watched recently that spoke to you.
The importance of seeing films in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just had the great fortune of going to the Telluride Film Festival for the first time, which is it's different to other film festivals I've been to in that you actually get to see a lot of movies. It is less about the press from what my job perspective. Like normally when you go to a festival, you're doing a lot of press and you're working and you can't enjoy and see the other films. And this was different. I was able to see a lot of movies and the theaters were packed, and it was heaven. It was just a glorious experience, and I hadn't seen that many movies back to back in packed houses. I don't ever. And they were all such different movies, but the the like heart hug that is feeling these big emotions with total strangers. It's life affirming, and there's a reason why we all are fighting so hard to keep it alive. Because the feeling of connection, of not having to say a single other thing to another, or even ever meet these people, but share laughs and share cries and share surprise together, is unifying and sacred and special. Yeah.
Right. Well, I gotta say, this collaboration that happened with this movie is, I believe, the epitome of a perfect match. But do you recall a specific moment on set where you noticed something about each other, whether it was how Chad directed or how Zoey approached a particular scene that left a lasting impression on you guys?
Let me think. I mean, it was pretty immediate. Like the very, very first shot of the movie that we set up, and I deliberately try to schedule something like not too difficult so that we can just power through it. It was a wide shot of Zoey setting up the crib by herself. And so that's like written into the script as she's setting up a crib. There's nothing really more to it. And we rolled in the very first take, and I just let it run for 45 seconds. And Zoey just acted out all these amazing, like, sort of pantomime little gags of like not being able to reach the instructions and the crib parts getting in the way. And you know, it was just 100% her instincts on display, being funny and smart and on the nose. So I mean, from the first minute, I knew that I was in good hands with her.
Yeah, and in pre-production, I think the whole experience of making the movie was really, really lovely, and I think that, at least from where I stood, I felt like everybody on our crew felt really heard and seen by you, Chad, and that you really cared about every person's job, and were interested in everybody's perspective and opinions. Didn't mean you had to take them, obviously, but that you really value the inherent nature of collaboration, and I think a lot of people talk that talk but don't always walk that walk, and I saw and respected and loved that about you as a filmmaker and as a leader, because ultimately you are the captain of the ship, and I did not feel a sense of hierarchy. I felt a sense of like, you were going to guide us in the right direction and we were safe, but that everybody was valuable and meaningful. And that was very apparent from the beginning, from pre-production.
Thanks.
Well, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on this movie, you guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You.
Sorry, did you forget something?
Other than a condom?
This is too good.